And it's a great, there we go. We just started. This is a great way to start.
Okay.
Start, man. I was dying when I turned it on. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Seamus Blake live from Vancouver.
All
How you doing?
right. Good, man. Good, man. That's a nice mic you have. What is that?
Thank you. It's a pretty basic AKG. Uh,
Looks slick. It's got like shock mount, stuff like that.
yeah, the shock mount camera thing.
Super basic 58 here.
Yeah, but you have it running through a Apogee, right?
I have it going to an RME baby face.
Okay, I don't even know about that.
They're pretty nice. RME makes great stuff.
Okay.
I've used RME for quite a few years. I also have a Fireface UC. Good good stuff. Never had too many problems with them.
Right. Fireface UC. I'll check that out too.
Yeah.
So you just came back from overseas and you had been there for quite a while, I think, as a lot of people know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what were you up to pre lock-in? What was going on?
Um, Pre-lockdown. Let's see. Yeah, I was in Europe. I was in Portugal. I was doing. I had done a few little like teaching gigs. I went and taught in Denmark a little bit, and then I went to Slovenia. I was there, and the beginning of the year wasn't super busy. I just had a couple things like that. A little bit of traveling, not too much though. It's cool. It's kind of like workshops and stuff like that. They were fun. They were with lots of good people.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow, your nose looks like really the way the sunlight was shining on it
I was like,
looked
hey,
like
look like a
or
scene out of Scarface.
it looked like you had like just plastic reconstructive plastic surgery like on your nose area.
I was like, yeah, I'm just healing nicely up here
Yeah,
in New
yeah.
Hampshire.
Yeah, just had a tumor taken out or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
But
well,
yeah,
I'm trying
uh
to get the right light. Now you got me thinking about light
I
angles.
think no, I think you're cool when you just sit back like that. That looks
I'm gonna sit back and put this bass way. Do you mind cranking up your gain a little bit?
yeah, yeah, okay.
You're just a
The
little
mic gain, sure.
you're a little soft
I want to
spoke.
hear you better too. Let me just see where
I can turn
I'm
it
not
up.
sure where that is. Oh, I think you're here maybe. Check. Maybe turn your gain up a little. Can you?
Yeah, yeah. How's that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that
Wow.
better? Yeah. Now we're up close in
I
person.
wish I heard you this well when we chatted in real life.
I know I'm a constant mumbler. It's amazing that Zoom can record this well. I've done a couple of these. One that came out yesterday with Jeremy Pelt, and he was doing
Mm-hmm.
it just on his phone, and it was super clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we have the technology nowadays. It's uh it's a good time for a pandemic.
Yeah, there's no
You know,
leave it to
like
Seamus Blake to make a positive situation out of a pandemic.
gotta be positive. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm busier than ever. I'm like inundated with social messages, and it's like I don't feel isolated really. Do you feel isolated?
A little bit. I'm
I
just
mean, we don't have gigs and we don't get to go hang out and you know.
right. I mean, FaceTime can only account for so much of it, but I try and make a regular. I'm doing the podcast is great
That's
just
cool.
to see people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do it a couple times a week. And I was going to do it much less than this, but now that this is happening, it's good to do it. And then also, I know when I'm feeling isolated in regular life, when there's no pandemic, I always check in with like the comedians podcasts and stuff because they kind of
Hmm.
have a way of making you feel like you're hanging out with the crew.
Right, right.
Um, yeah. What are you doing not to stay isolated? Not to feel isolated. You are isolated, but
Um, yeah, I actually have to do quarantine because I came from overseas, so I'm supposed to not actually be around anybody. But I have this whole basement suite here, and it's nice, and I've just been kind of taking it easy. I'm not like, I mean, I got some mic stands and some things set up to set up my stuff. I got a little simple keyboard. I have my Iwi. I have a Ableton push controller. I have an acoustic guitar. I have my saxophone. So I have lots of projects and things that I want to work on. So I could be here a year and I would be fine. you know. I'd be
Yeah.
fine with being here like an entire year. I mean, I'm starting to get a little cabin fever, like just, but I can go out and I have a skipping jump rope, and I just go outside in the garden, my parents' garden, and jump rope and stuff. So
Right. Do you have access to any close like parks or nature walks
there's
or
a
anything?
park across the street, yeah, which it's a small park, but it's where I grew up, and there's some tennis courts in that, but it's not too many. I'm not sure what the rules are right now for isolation stuff with people here. I think you have to keep it really small gatherings and whatnot, but it's maybe not as extreme as Europe. Some countries in Italy or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
talked
you're
to
in Philly. You're in Philly, right?
No, I'm actually up in New Hampshire now.
Oh, you're in New Hampshire. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
nice.
At a friend of Alyssa and my our friends Nat and Dunks, who I think you may have met at one of my gigs
Okay.
or our
Hmm.
gigs or whatever. I'm
Okay.
not sure, but yeah, I'm up in like way out in the boonies
Nice.
on a
The
lake, which
country.
which is great. Yeah, and I'm just trying to stay creative. I'm practicing a bunch, and I got this mic and a little interface, and
Uh
I'm
huh.
mixing and just a small MIDI controller. I tried to order a bigger MIDI controller, but
Uh
obviously with
huh.
what's going on right
Yeah.
now, it's like 2 weeks until it gets. So I'm like, do I want to do that? I have a full size one at home.
Hmm.
Um, but it's been, yeah, New Hampshire's beautiful, and I'm lucky to have some friends with some extra space. And I know there's a lot of people in New York who either didn't have the opportunity to get out or didn't want to and wanted to stick it out. And more power to them because
Hmm.
I don't think I would have lasted.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the worst. I mean, if you're gonna be kind of quarantining yourself or in isolation, at least being in nature is sort of not being around people is a good move.
Yeah, I think that's like one thing that can remind you every day, like, okay, this whole world is greater and bigger than me, and a pandemic is awful, but the Earth is still functioning around me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's good for the environment, right? I guess there's all of a sudden there's like a lot less pollution, and all the human contributions to killing the planet kind of slow down a little bit when civilization stops. It's that you notice the I don't know.
yeah.
Somebody told me it was faked, but there were like dolphins in the canals of Venice and stuff like that. But somebody told me it was faked, so I don't know if that's really true or not.
How would they fake dolphins in the canals? Of it was like
I don't know. Maybe somehow they faked the footage, or I'm not sure. Like,
it's like the Instagram filter for your bow tie, but they just have
yes,
dolphins.
canal dolphins, snap filter. Yeah, I I don't know. I saw some footage, like they were talking like the canals in Venice are normally really murky and kind of gray brown, and apparently they've all like the water is clear, and because nobody's traveling, there's no boats, and there's no, and apparently like sky, like air over a lot of major cities, and that has improved a lot, and it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen some posts. Christian McBride put up this awesome quote that he dug, and it's kind of hard to summarize because it was really beautiful, but essentially it was like, Mother Nature is still functioning around us, and this is what happens when like when we come back to being our normal society, quote unquote, or functioning society. Keep in mind that Mother Earth is like allowing us to return to other
Hmm.
behaviors, and she was functioning the whole time, and we're just part of her greater thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was cool. I've seen a lot of stuff like that up. So you're in Vancouver, but you're not going out at all, any groceries and stuff like that, like
No, my parents are feeding me. I'm like, uh, they hand me my meals. Like they leave them on the stairs, and then I go up and I get them. And that's kind of cool, you know. But no, it's weird. Also, I mean, we have dinner on the stairs together. So my parents sit at the top of the stairs, and I sit at the bottom of the stairs, and we chat a little bit and have dinner. And but most of the day, I'm kind of just a little bit isolated. Honestly, I haven't been super productive. I've been kind of like a little bit lazy, a little bit like I was kind of like waiting for some of my equipment and stuff like that, but I'm kind of on the go. I've been on the roll recently though, more just kind of working and trying to do trying to write like a book of composed solos
Yeah.
on different standards. So I'm working on that, and trying to I had a I'm working on some EWE things. I had my new computer, the charger died, and it's like such a specific charger that you like, it's not like a MacBook where you can just go to the order one from Apple. It's like it's a PC called a Razer, and the charger is out of stock in the company's website.
So,
So I
so you got, I would expect you to be a Mac dude, but you got something special.
I was yeah, I was for many years. Like Macs are fine. I like Macs, but I was for many years, and then it was just like some different little software things that I wanted to use that were only on PC, and I made the switch, and I enjoyed it. Like I messed around with Windows, and I was like, this is fine. And actually, I felt like that for your money, there was more variety and more diversity in it. I mean, once you get under the hood in a way, like if you know how to configure it, Windows are actually a little bit more configurable. It's like you can turn more things on and off and customize it more than a Mac. Um, but a Mac kind of works easily just right out of the gate. And you know, but Macs are kind of, I feel like they're overpriced, and I felt like the innovation has gone down. So I was just like curious and checking out some PCs. So I think I switched a few years ago, maybe like 5, 6 years ago or something. I started using a PC. um, I've had a couple of weird crisis moments where shit wasn't working and stuff dies, but I think you have that with any kind of computer. It just, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm dealing with my old, so I'm kind of like, I have files that are like a year and a half old or something,
Right.
like the last point of so it's a little bit like going back in time, but it's cool. I'm going back through my old computer, and I'm trying to work on my EWE stuff a lot. I don't know, just trying to like re think about all of that stuff, and I've been enjoying that. So I'm kind of working on that. I would say mostly that, and then a little bit of practicing and a little bit of the composed solos book.
Wonderful.
I'm doing, yeah.
And that's something like I saw that my buddy Benny Benak, he's doing like composed etudes. He's
Yeah.
like,
So
yo, Venmo me $15 and I'll write you an etude over a tune.
yeah.
People are like into it, like all these cats are, all the stuff that you're telling me, all the stuff that you're telling me is beautiful for just simply what we want to do, like getting better at music or expressing ourselves or any of that kind of stuff. But also because of what's going on, cats are forced into this idea of like, okay, how do I monetize this situation?
hmm
There's
hmm
unemployment, there's the grants, which everybody's applying for, which most of them are tapped out,
hmm
and there's unemployment and all that, but people are trying to find another way to like make money. Is that something that like concerns you during a pandemic like this, or are you taking another approach?
yeah, it's concerning. I mean, it's hard to know when we're gonna like, when it's gonna return to normal, you know. I think it's going to be kind of slow to kind of, you know, the lockdowns will ease up slowly and kind of gradually. And I think, I mean, I know that eventually it will return, but it could be like longer than we think, you know. It's hard to say. I mean, my guess is maybe like a lot of the summer stuff might get kind of hit kind of hard, but maybe hopefully by the fall things will be coming back together a little bit. I don't really know though. You know,
Right.
hard to, nobody knows, and you get so much different information. Um, but yeah, I'm I'm just sort of taking it as it comes, but I do, the good thing, the positive thing about it is like I never really mind so much when I don't have gigs, because I can sort of work on things, and I always have like almost too many projects and too many things I'm trying to do. I'm a little bit too spread out sometimes.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, I'm gonna like write a piece for a symphony, and then I'm gonna like make an album of standards, and then I'm gonna program like a techno album, and then I'm gonna like too many things. It's like, so you run out of time to, and when you're busy, it's really hard to get the time in. um Although, sometimes when you're busy, you get more stuff done because you're kind of just in productive mode. And then, like, I've noticed, like, I'm in like pandemic gear, which is kind of like a slow gear. I'm just a little
Right.
bit, I'm like, oh, I don't really need to do it now. I guess I could do it next week. It's kind of
Yeah.
sort of get a little bit lazy. But I do, I like having the time. I like being able to work on things kind of slowly, and it's, the cool thing is that we can, I mean, artists and writers and musicians, and that we can have time off. We can invest it into something. If you had no gigs for a year, let's say you, I don't know, something happened to you, you broke all your bones in your body, you could still maybe write some music and recover while you're recovering. I mean, you can use the time and put it in, invest it, in that kind of way. So, practicing and composing and all those things take time. And so if you have the, sometimes I feel like I don't have the time, when you're touring a lot, it's really hard to find the time to do that stuff. So I feel like, use this as some kind of a gift, use it as a gift of time.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
just, you know,
Yeah. I feel the same, and I'm trying to do the same thing, but also, I know a lot of people are struggling. A lot of musicians are struggling, and performers, with the pressure that social media puts on. Like, there's all these people that are like, oh yeah, just they're saying what you're saying, but they're doing it in a way where they have active gear on, and they're like in the sunshine, and they're trying to make it like, my life is so great, and make your life great too, and which is
mhm,
a constant sub narrative of social media that's around all the time, pandemic or non-pandemic. But I
mhm,
think for a lot of musicians also, acknowledging the depression of this is important too, realizing that it's a completely shitty situation, not only for artists and performers, but everybody, and the whole scope of the entire thing. And then, at least for me personally, from then on, I can move on to the idea of, okay, well, this is awful, and this is really hard, and
mhm,
not only are people losing their lives, but on a much much smaller level, we're all losing a lot of work and opportunities, and the thing that makes us tick, and all that. And then from there, you can go, okay, well, what do I do to make this time productive? But if you
mhm.
I feel like if you try and skip the acknowledgement of it, it's like, oh, it's cool, like, just no, it's a major fucking drag for everyone.
Sure, sure. I think it's normal to be depressed and to have a lot of, I guess sometimes I think that's a given. So sometimes I don't want to dwell on it too much, but yeah, I mean, it's difficult reading the news, and it's a kind of like overwhelming sometimes, people dying, people that dying. Um, and I think, yeah, for sure, I think that part of it hits you emotionally, and it hits you in a way that kind of makes you think about big things, important things, and that's, you can't overlook that. You're totally right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying not to. So what are you listening to right now?
I actually haven't been listening that much. I mean, it's funny. I don't know. Like, it seems like I haven't been actually. Yeah, not so much.
I mean, that bow tie is so loud, it must be pretty hard to listen to anything.
Yeah, I know. I need some, probably some recommendations. I haven't listened to that much actually in the last couple of weeks. Not very much. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It's kind of a phase. Sometimes I listen to music all the time, and I don't really have speakers down here, so and I guess my ears just get tired of having headphones on like constantly. So I got to get some speakers or something.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Even the over ears, these are kind
How
of
about you though? How about you?
um well, I started like a little routine a couple weeks ago. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get either get back into one record every day or get into a new record every day, and I'll listen to it in the morning when I'm writing emails, and then I'll play along to the whole thing at night like a gig.
Mm.
So
Oh, wow.
like as soon as you hit play, you got to ride the whole thing out. So sometimes it's like you're getting totally fucked. You're trying to like here's some changes or whatever. But the cool thing is, and I'll listen to it afterwards sometimes too, but you can acoustic bass most of the time is one of those instruments with just a little bit of finessing on Spotify or I have these like Klipsch earbuds that are
Mm-hmm.
pretty dope quality. They're wireless. They're having some pairing issues and stuff like that because anytime you get something that's non-Mac, that is the drag about Mac. You try and pair it to an iPhone or something, it's always an issue. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
with the EQ on those and the EQ on Spotify, I can EQ out the bass
Oh, cool.
and I can
Play
just
along
play.
with the record.
Yeah, and then also it's kind of like a real gig where a bass player you have trouble hearing yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, right.
'Cause you don't want to play too loud and you're standing right in front of an amp, and that's not the way that the signs of amps works. You're not supposed to be right in front of it. So it's great. It helps me keep my calluses, and then I'm practicing with the bow as much as possible, just like melodies and this book
Yeah.
that a lot of bass players know. I'm sure it's called Storch. It's great, Storch Rob
Mm,
etudes and stuff like that. And couple nights a week, I'm like, well, I've only done it once, but I want to do it again. Is like recording like a solo bass set into Logic, and just
mm,
forcing myself to play a set of solo bass.
mm-hmm.
So more the idea of like keeping that muscle of performing
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm-hmm.
it's like go,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
then I'm doing videos on electric and stuff, but I will go back and be like, okay, that sucked. I got to do it again, whatever. But listening today, this morning, is this Elma Hope record with really young Coltrane, Informal Jazz.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's Philly Joe, PC, Hank Mobley, Donald Byrd, and Coltrane.
Wow.
And it's like maybe 35 minutes long. I saw that Corey Weeds, Vancouver,
Uh,
was listening to it. I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, oh, I'll check that out. And I could only find it on YouTube. And so I'm just like up in the morning with coffee, like writing emails. I'm trying to get up around like 7,
mm-hmm.
8 o'clock and just like see sunlight and like take a
Mm-hmm.
trip to the whatever we got to take the trash to the dump or go to the store, just anything to just keep a regular routine going. But it's difficult too.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That sounds good though. Sounds productive, and you're managing it. How long do you think you'll be up there?
I don't know. I mean, our friends are kind enough to take us in, so and they had said like, you can ride this out all the way here, whatever that means if you guys want. So Alyssa and I are really grateful for that. But also it's been totally smooth sailing and awesome, but we don't want to overstay our welcome anywhere or anything like that.
Mhm.
So
My bow tie disappear when I drink coffee.
no, your bow ties. Oh, they don't want you to spill your coffee on the bow tie, so they take it away from you. Digital coffee.
Mm.
That bow tie, that's incredible, man. Okay, so for people, because we weren't recording before, but I thought I was gonna surprise Seamus, and I had some introduction theme music playing as soon as Zoom connected and the bass
Mm.
plugged in. And he actually double crossed me and punked me because he had that red bow tie.
Uh,
But yeah, I was listening to a ton of McCoy.
right, because he passed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I was in Philly when he passed, and
Oh,
um,
wow.
it
Right.
just kind of hit me hard. I was like, you're like walking along the same, you're like, damn, he was over here, and he
I
was
had a
playing.
McCoy solo I was working on. This one from it's a YouTube thing, but it was from Green Dolphin Street.
Oh,
You know
from
that?
from Boston, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man,
it's like
somebody,
they play it so up tempo, and he plays so much. I was like, I have no idea. Like, when you listen to people play
yeah,
and generally have an idea of sort of what they're doing. kind of, right? You hear it and you're like, you kind of, sometimes there's something somebody plays that's a little bit tricky and you're like, whoa, what was that? But in
Right.
general, when we listen to somebody playing, we can kind of sort of basically hear it's within the language. But this McCoy solo, it's like, he just plays so much stuff that I'm just like, what is that?
Yeah,
no
exactly.
idea. No idea what he's doing there. Like, or he'll just do crazy things like, but and he'll just be like, boom, E flat sharp 9, E flat 7 sharp 9, the whole like
Oh,
A.
the bing, bing,
Most regular
ding,
changes. Yeah,
ding, and he does that for like the whole, like
yeah,
through the,
yeah.
but he plays these two
Hey,
choruses before it where it's so clearly out, like the harmony is so clearly outlined and like the resolutions are all delayed and stuff, but like he resolves them in the most perfect. That solo is like mind
yeah,
blowing.
yeah. So I was just trying to. I had worked on that a while ago actually, but it was on the old computer, so I saw it. And I was like, oh yeah, this solo. Um, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, even the break that he does. It's like it's it's like an it's like an A try with the flat five in it, but it's like it's not something I would think of playing at all.
Right.
I would think of something maybe more like related to the 5 chord or something, but he just sort of plays a like flat 5 of the tonic or something, but it just sounds so badass. It's like
Yeah.
like time, feel, confidence, like superhero. It's like superhero feel. Nobody has that feel really.
Yeah. The way the time feel is, and like, yeah, I watched this interview with him from Europe
Hmm.
from like the early 70s and just seemed like the one of the most humble, focused people.
Yeah.
They're like, you just finished a concert with your group, and that was the era, I think, like the 70s McCoy bands, which were like, you
Yeah.
see the album covers, he's got sweat pouring off his face,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and he's just like very calmly like, yes, I've played quite a lot today, and I feel very satisfied with today. And you're like, wow, like quiet, walk softly and carry a big stick, and like,
Right. Right. Right.
but yeah, that recording, the one from Boston from the TV show, I think it's like Scotty Holt on bass, who's on some other Blue Note records, and that's Jack DeJohnette.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and the time feel between him and Jack,
Yeah.
I don't know any other records that they're on or that I'm familiar with. I'm sure somebody will comment and be like, "Oh,
Trios,
these."
right? Isn't Jack on Super Trios?
Uh
Like it's 2 rhythm sections.
oh,
It's
right,
Jack and Eddie Gomez or something. One of them. One of the
right.
rhythm. There's 2 different rhythm sections.
Would it be Ron Carter and Tony Williams, and then
Yeah, and then maybe Jack and I thought Eddie Gomez. I can't remember. It's
right?
pretty good record though.
Yeah, I
Every
got
song,
to the
like
blues on the corner from that, right?
yeah, every song is like really fierce. Yeah.
Do you know this Canadian bass player that Adam Aruda was telling me about, who's older, and he's kind of like, he played with a lot of different people, and then he's a mentor to a lot of people. Neil something.
Oh, yeah, Swenson.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know much about him, but I see his name pop up on records and stuff like that. He's still around, right?
Yeah, he's in Toronto. I think I played with him a few years ago once. He's great. Yeah, he's been a part of the Toronto scene. The Toronto has quite a lot of like uh, there's a lot of good players there. They're kind of like you got your Pat LaBarbera and who else? I'm gonna draw a blank on names, but there's a lot of good musicians up there for sure. There's a scene. I don't know what it's like these days, but
Wait,
well, these days
you're
everyone's in
saying,
lockdown.
right? Pat LaBarbera's up there in Toronto, though.
He lives in Toronto. Yeah, I mean, he's originally from New York State, Rochester or something.
Wow.
He from New York State, but he kind of lives in Canada. He's been living in Canada since I was a teenager. I don't know. He's been living in Canada a long time. Lives in Toronto area.
Yeah, he's
Kind of
amazing.
a lot of good tenor players up there, like this guy Mike Murley. You got Kelly Jefferson. You got um, um, oh, I'm drawing a blank on some of the other ones, but um, Kirk McDonald,
Right.
uh, some good players. Yeah, and you know, I think, I mean, they used to have, used to have the top of the Senator, and I used to
Right.
enjoy. I used to go up to Toronto and kind of play there more regularly. Um, but now they still have the Rex. You probably played there, right? Did you go up and play at the
I've
Rex?
never been to Toronto.
Really? Oh my God.
I've been to Montreal.
Okay.
I did the Montreal Jazz Festival with Leslie Odom. I was subbing for Orlando,
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
and I've done. This was all this past summer. I'd never been to Canada before that. What's the name of that place that's in Edmonton?
Mm-hmm. The Yardbird Suite.
Yardbird Suite in Edmonton, and then one more place.
Vancouver.
Victoria,
Victoria.
which
You
I thought
played in a
uh
club?
Herman's, right?
Harmons, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought
Yeah.
Victoria was one of the coolest towns I've ever been to. I went to this pawn shop 3 blocks from Herman's, and they had 7 pre-CBS P bases for sale
Wow.
in perfect
Wow.
condition, which were
Wow.
worth like $6,000 or $7,000 each. The only reason they weren't worth more is because the guy had like re-lacquered them.
Oh, wow.
And they said he was like the guy who sold them was driving across the country and picked them up
Hmm.
across the
Maybe
country. But it was like between sets or something, or maybe before sound check. I just walked over there,
buy
and
one?
I wish I had that kind of money. It's killing. I got my Aerodyne. I got my $800 Aerodyne with my Billy Sheehan strings on, which I'm digging if I don't break it. But no, I did have the best BLT of my life in Victoria.
Yeah. It's a nice town. It's smaller. It has a little bit better weather than Vancouver. It's like a bit sunnier. It's kind of a lot of retired people there.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole island is actually really beautiful, and there's a lot of little islands also in that area. You can take the ferry and go to all these different other little islands, and super beautiful. It's very super nice.
When you're growing up, did you tour Canada?
I have done some touring of Canada, as being Canadian, in that I for Canadians, they a lot of times, if you want to tour Canada, you get this like grant, and you get a grant from the government, and then you do a little tour of Canada, and the grant kind of helps pay for the airfare, which is kind of a lot, I guess, to tour Canada. Um, so spread out. So yeah, I mean, I've done that circuit with different bands and stuff like that. There's kind of clubs across the country, and there's places to play, um, and with different bands over the years. I've definitely done it. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I
Canadians have a hard time a little bit because they can't work across the border. They can't just go down into the States and like just do gigs the same way that Americans can come up and do gigs. The laws are a little bit funny that way. It's like it's kind of there's it's easier for Americans to come up and play a small gig and not have to have a visa or something, but
right.
Canadians can't go down and play. So Canadians are a bit more restricted to their own playing in Canada, and unfortunately, yeah, they don't go overseas so much either. You know, they tend. I mean, there are exceptions, but for a Canadian to do well, you kind of have to move to the States. It's like if you're a jazz musician, there's not. Whereas if you're a European, you could maybe do okay and just stay in Europe. You could survive there. Um, but it's a little bit more tricky for Canadians, and many people in the world are not aware of some of the great musicians that are here. Because they don't have that kind of international presence. Maybe some of them do. Some of them do, but
Right.
yeah. I mean, basically, if you want it, you gotta go, down to the States to to uh, to have better opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you were growing up, you must have seen some amazing players come up. Well, in Canada and come up, right?
Yeah, I mean, like just living in Vancouver. I mean, I was a teenager in the late '80s, so I saw like there was this trombone player, Hugh Fraser, and he had a quintet, and he had two amazing saxophone players, Campbell Riga on alto, and this guy Phil Dwyer on tenor. And Hugh would play piano and trombone, so sometimes they do sextet without, and they would also rotate because Phil also played piano, and so they were all really great musicians. Trying to think who was that. Buff Allen was the drummer, and Chris Nelson sometimes was the bass player then. But they would play in town, and man, it was exciting. Like they had cool tunes and amazing energy, and like fierce, like high quality, like burning, burning saxophone solos. So it was like
Right.
it was, it would be. I mean, it was definitely inspiring to see that stuff live. So I started taking lessons from them. When I was about 16, I would go to Phil's house and Campbell's house and take lessons from them. And that was really, I think it's really important to have like live music as a source of inspiration. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more about that. Growing up in Philly,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
constant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the
Yeah.
best
And
shows.
that's the
Go
scary
ahead.
thing now is like we don't have that. And like I haven't really been. Have you been watching a lot of like lot like podcasts? Not podcasts. Like I don't know how Zoom performances or like streamed gigs and stuff like that. Are you watching a lot of those? Or?
Um,
Seems.
I did one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm supposed to do one tomorrow that's just like a quick solo bass thing, just to do something. And I find, um, I think that Facebook is a better demographic. It's older people who are willing to stop and watch something.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this thing with jazz memes
Mm-hmm.
through Instagram, and I used it as an experiment. I was like, okay, I'm going to download OBS, learn how
Mm-hmm.
to run OBS into Instagram and Facebook and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
Instagram was just like a steady 40 to 50 people the entire time, and people were in and out very fast. But Facebook is like more the thing. And I was just trying to raise money for the Spotify uh, Artist Relief Fund, which they're matching donations all the way up to 10 million.
Wow.
So, which is cool for them to do something cool because they haven't exactly been loved by all musicians
Right.
always. But
So
I've been
fun
watching.
for musicians to support musicians in this time.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a relief fund of some sort. It may even go to like some medical stuff for people that are
Mm-hmm.
suffering too, I would hope. But I've been watching here and there little streams. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of more inclined to go back and check out some shit that I just haven't checked out.
Mm-hmm.
And spend the time doing that. And but I will tune in, and I know Ben Ack's been doing it, and a bunch of other people that are friends of mine have been doing it, and I'll be
Mm-hmm.
sure to tune in and check it out. Although I think the timing of it, sometimes people pick a time where it's like everybody's having dinner and stuff, and I'm trying to like avoid that and maybe do like a little happy hour show. And I'm less trying to do it for the
Mm-hmm.
fundraising and more so for the like learning about the technology part and just still practicing improvising you know
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
would you thinking about doing anything like that?
Yeah, think about it. I'm still I my I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm not sure what I would do. I might do some like I might do some like more electro type things. Maybe play have an excuse to play my saxophone a little bit. Um I'm not sure like a whole like concert of solo saxophone. I'm not sure if I've ever done that before, but I tend to like, I like hearing like chords and stuff. So it feels so naked, to play solo saxophone. It's cool like for a moment, like an introduction or something, but yeah, I mean I'm thinking about it. I'm still maybe the first thing I will do will be like so sort of like some little like short little like I might just go on Instagram or something for like 20 minutes and like play some like iwi with some like drum loops and things like that. I kind of
Yeah,
jam myself, maybe that's my first inclination because I feel like playing solo saxophone. It's not it's nothing wrong with it, but maybe that's later down the queue. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to do, to share a little bit. I think it's cool.
But I also agree with you that it's like um, it's a little naked, and it can be like, I don't think anybody like you. I think you have so much goddamn facility. You could play on your own and everybody would be glued to the TV for a long time. But at least speaking for me personally, I know that I'm going to do like a 30-minute thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to play like a melody on the bow and maybe like walk and blow on a tune, and then do some stuff on electric, hopefully with like some pedals, and
Mm-hmm.
talk a little bit, and that'll be it. Like I couldn't see myself. There's very few bass players in the world um, that I I think like my jaw would drop to the floor watching a solo bass concert, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's so difficult. That's no dog on any bass players. It's just the fact that it's
Yeah.
so incredibly difficult. And I think most bass players will tell you the same thing. I would totally, man, like Christian McBride, Patitucci, Grenadier, Joe Martin, all those guys, I think they've got enough experience under their belt to where it would just be an incredible show. But for somebody like me, I'm just like, let me just do like a little 20,
Well,
30 minutes
I
and get out.
yeah, it's cool to, I mean, yeah, it's good to focus it a little bit, and keep it short is perfect. I mean, most people don't, it's, I think for online kind of shows and stuff like that, it's cool to keep it short,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but people's attention spans
Or
digitally. I mean, part of the experience to like going to see live music, like sometimes I'll watch, those videos of Bud Powell playing at Montmartre.
I haven't seen that. No.
There's like a bunch of them, and it's like 16-year-old NHOP,
Wow.
and they play around midnight. They
Wow.
play Whale or something, or Anthropology, and they have some shots of people in the audience. This goes for a lot of older concerts, and even when there's like some the most incredibly deep, profound shit happening that will ever happen, Bud Power, Coltrane, whatever, you
Hmm.
still see people like, is some Euro people just kind of like staring at the
You're
wall,
right.
like,
You're right.
you know what I mean? That's like part of the experience of going to see live music. I know I've gone to see live music, and I've kind of like zoned out and like been a little bit
Yeah. Right.
therapeutic for me. There's not really, the digital streaming concert. Is it therapy? Is it as therapeutic as doing yoga or meditation online or watching Netflix? I don't know.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's not, it's its own thing. It's not really the same as, I mean, it's different than just watching a YouTube video, because it is kind of live, but at the same time, it's, yeah, it's not like really being there, but the energy is different. The energy is different.
Yeah.
But I think I mean, it's amazing that we have the technology to do this stuff now,
Yeah.
It could be 1918. We could be really screwed.
Yeah.
Right.
Like what? Well, I wonder what they did during the Spanish influenza, which wasn't even, it didn't even start in Spain.
No, it got that name in a kind of arbitrary way. I think I forget how that
It was
happened.
first documented. The Spanish newspapers were the first people to put it out. Maybe that's
Something like that, but it didn't start there. Yeah.
but I heard something like the idea that they had they thought they were over it, and then they had a parade, and then it got really bad.
Well, yeah, I don't know if they were over it. I think, was it the second wave? There were three waves of it though, which is kind of scary. Like if we had three waves of this, like how
Right.
horrific would that be? That's why the whole, like, that's why the lockdown, I think, is a little bit, it's going to be a bit slower than maybe we think, and they're going to have to be cautious about just totally opening it up, so it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of social distancing, even when even when the numbers go down of new cases and deaths and stuff. It's still going to be kind of a lot of social distancing. So it's perfect for jazz concerts, because it's social distancing is built in. Like there's only 5 people at the show anyway.
Yeah, there's so many before stuff got, I mean, it was already really serious, but people were still had a little bit more of like a lighthearted air, and there was like this, did you see that meme where it was like jazz concert before coronavirus is like
Oh,
empty,
I didn't see it.
and there's
No,
like
but
jazz concert during coronavirus?
Right. It's the same. Yeah.
And it was like, wow, it's the same. Yeah, the social distancing thing, the actual distancing of seating and the half capacity stuff, it's got to be really difficult for clubs because the jazz clubs are already so small.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're lifting the lock on Wuhan today, I believe.
Yeah. They're starting to open it up. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say really, but I guess the best way is to be cautiously optimistic, you know,
I think so
not
too.
to be, I mean, because some people tell me, oh yeah, things are going to be cool by July, everything's going to be fine, you know. People are still kind of asking me to do gigs and stuff in July. I'm thinking,
People are actually booking gigs in July.
it was like a teaching thing that somebody asked me
A
to do.
teaching thing?
Yeah, in July in Croatia. So I mean, I'm surprised. I said, I don't know. Let's see. You know, I'm not sure. I mean, because I had other things that were canceled for July, so I'm surprised. I mean, I'm doubtful that it.
Do you have
That
anything like still in the books at all up until July?
I have a couple of things. I have a couple of things that have just not that nobody's spoken to me about, but I'm assuming they're going to be canceled. But I don't know. I had a
Right.
couple gigs, I had some gigs with Jeff Ballard's band and it's in July and I don't think anyone really knows what's happening, if they're going to
Yeah.
be canceled or not, you know. So I just wait and see.
Yeah. Totally. I can't imagine what that first hang back at Smalls is going to be like when everybody's in town and it's, you know,
Yeah. Or maybe it'll just be like, only 5 people are allowed in at a time or something
yeah,
like a
that would,
supermarket.
right. Yeah. Or there's like, jam sessions all over the city with the yellow tape. Like, okay, you stand here until you take your solo and then you can
Yeah,
walk off.
yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, the 1918, there was 3 waves of it, and I did hear that story that one of the no, which city was it in? Chicago or
Was it
some
in
city.
Philly?
Maybe it was in Philly. There was a
I
huge
think my
parade because
dad
it was
told me this.
World War I, and I think I guess the war had ended, or the war like it was a celebrating kind of the war, and maybe it was the second wave, the beginning but they didn't heed the warnings or whatnot, and they had a huge parade, and after the parade, like thousands of people got sick after that because they just spread it. We were really close on top of each other, um, waving and and jumping up and down and being really close. And yeah, a lot of people got
Right.
it.
Maybe there's not going to be any parades for a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, oh, sorry. It's it's troubling, but I'm finding that the more that I talk to some of my good friends like you and favorite musicians, that like everybody's finding creative ways to just keep.
yeah. The creativity comes up. It's like survival. It's like adaptation for survival. It's like the virus mutates and the musicians mutate.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
so
really true.
we're like trying to figure out how to. But I mean, it's tough. I also feel like maybe there's a lot of like sometimes I struggle with like having positive ideas and energy and like, yeah, it's gonna be cool, and I'm gonna do some webcasts, and I'm gonna write a bunch of new music. But then sometimes reality hits in, and then you're just,
Yeah.
I saw really good, I saw Eric Harlan's Instagram, I think it was yesterday, and he's like gets up and he goes sits down at the drums, and he goes and he's he like plays like one note, and then he's like, he puts the sticks down and leaves. That was his post. It's great. I was like, that's hilarious.
That's so funny.
It kind of sums it up. It's like,
Especially
life.
Eric Carlin, where everybody's waiting. They're like, "Oh man, he's
Yeah,
gonna
everyone's like, oh,
crazy
we
shit."
saw Sebastian. Oh my god. But it was funny. I mean, I was laughing. It's great because there's a lot of also. Well, sometimes, yeah, like the just to address that social media thing again, it can be a little bit too much. Like sometimes people just like, if you're a musician and then you have all these friends and people you follow that are all musicians and they're all posting this stuff, it can kind of a little bit mess with you psychologically. Like you can start to feel like you should be doing this and you should be doing that. Or if you get inundated with so much of it, like it I find that you got to be careful with that. Sometimes you
Totally.
got to just take a break from it, and you feel better when you're just not seeing all that stuff.
That's why I'm trying to do this version of the podcast where people are just talking real shit, because
Yeah.
I don't think it should put pressure on. It's like, this is what a hang would actually consist of, is people talking about real stuff rather than, like, to hear you be honest. Like, people really look up to you. You're an older musician. You're not old. You look great, and
I'm old. I'm old.
you're not old. Are you?
Very old.
How old are you? How old are you, Seamus Blake?
I'm born in December 1970, so that makes me 49.
You're
Whoa.
gonna be 50 in December.
Fucking,
Yo,
yeah.
we got to do something.
Shit, man. I know it's a little bit scary, but it's reality. I feel okay though. I'm basically healthy, so yeah. I'm yeah. I'm okay with it. But life moves quickly, you know. I heard, man, just last night I got kind of bummed out because this guy Mike Mazer, he was a drummer and he lived in New York. And I used to jam with him. We used to do, like, when I first moved to New York, I do like little brunch gigs with him, and he was friends with Jesse Murphy and this kind of whole crew of people, and we used to all hang out. He was a nice guy. 90s, or like in the 90s, I used to jam with him a little bit. I saw on Facebook that he had died of brain cancer, like in December. I was like, oh shit! Like, when people go that are your age or younger than you, that's, you start to feel the mortality a little bit, and you start to realize, I mean, because he just one day he just didn't feel good. He went in, and they found tumors in his brain.
That is so fucking scary and
Yeah.
tragic and horrible, but
Yeah.
also very, very scary. I
Yeah.
can't.
So, yeah. I mean, the only thing you can take from that is life is precious, and we're feeling that a lot now too. With all the crazy things that are going on. Like, regular life is, we take for granted what we have. So,
Yeah.
uh, you know, but out of every bad thing comes a good thing, I think. So, try to maybe some positive things will come out of, like, in terms of changed behavior in people, maybe, and new ways of communicating, new ways of sharing things. Have
Yeah.
you done I know you did a play along, right? I want to hear.
Yeah. These play along tracks.
What
Yeah.
can I buy it somewhere?
Yeah. On band. You don't have to buy it. I'll
Bandcamp.
send it to you.
Bandcamp. Yeah.
Just tell all your little saxophone minions that are big Seamus Blake fans.
Yeah, I would like to. Maybe I'll like jam with a track or something.
Yeah. You know what I did? I just posted this video of me playing electric with an octave pedal over giant steps, and I took the piano off of one of the blueses, and I'm just like, in my
Nice.
brain, I think I'm like ripping, and I'm like bending over trying to be like Schofield, like that, and it doesn't sound that good, but I put it up anyway because I wanted people to see that the quarantine play alongs are useful,
Yeah.
even if you want. So I'm going to start selling the stems too. It was me and Corey Fonville and Joe Block, and I'm gonna do
Yeah.
some more of those. Those were just blueses.
They were blueses. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the quarantine blues. So we did like one that
Awesome.
was kind of a medium B flat. Then we did like a little bit medium up D flat blues. Then we did a fast F blues, I think. And then we
Great.
did actually just an open like D minor to G7
And
kind of like.
can you oh, you're going to sell the stems also, so if you want you can mute the piano,
I've
or
sold the stems to a couple of people who inboxed me in one of the stems, and I did it case by case. But now I'm gonna just upload them to Bandcamp.
oh,
But I
okay.
originally put them on Bandcamp because Bandcamp started this thing where they were like, "Oh yeah, due to the musicians struggling, we're gonna take no fee," and it was
Mhm.
a 24-hour window.
Oh,
And I put it up, and it was like, "Yeah, then we're gonna take off that 12, we're gonna take $2, and PayPal takes another $1.95."
oh,
And I was
geez.
just like, "What the fuck?" Like
Can
these
you sell
people.
it from your website or something?
Yeah, I have a Squarespace, a dope Squarespace. Done my
The
find my
website I use is Bandzoogle. It's pretty hip. You know that?
Bandzoogle.
That's the name of it. It's kind of
You look
funny.
like the founder of Bandzoogle with that bow tie on.
I am. No. Um, um, yeah, I got to take this bow tie more seriously. Wait, let me see
Can you
how.
put some
Oh,
glasses on to match the bow tie?
yeah, I should. More professor.
Oh, I meant like more goofy digital glasses.
Oh, yeah. No, you can't do it like there's no stems for the for the accessories, Botox. Like, but you basically can just it takes a minute. It's my processor kind of dies when I like change the. I'm not going to do it now, but you need a good graphics card, and the graphics card in my PC is dead, so it just is the basic one that comes with the computer, not the not the GTX Radeon whatever.
You're like
It's
the ultimate computer nerd right now. You're like in mom's basement, like these Radeon cards are not reading. You're like about to like order them off Amazon.
cycles are folding, man. I'm like, I am such a noob with my
You need pizza rolls and Mountain Dew to go along with that.
is life pizza.
Oh,
Yeah, baby. I like some of these. Wait, let me see.
do you fear getting memed again with these?
Kind of fun too. Check that. Hey, right. Woo.
For people listening on just audio on the broadcast, Seamus is going through a number of Snapchat Zoom applied filters. He is currently just
I think
a pickle.
it's really boring. It's really boring. You don't really want to do this, but
Yeah,
uh,
leave that one. I like that. That is incredible. I'm gonna even stop and get a picture with my phone of that so I can let people know what a wonderful guest you've been on the podcast.
I'm
Oh
trying to
man.
make up for my lack of jokes.
No, you've good jokes. You have a great sense of humor when you're singing
I'm
Everything
a bit
Happens to Me.
serious. A bit serious. I'm a bit serious. I need to be drinking alcohol to really let loose.
When you sing Everything Happens to Me and you're like something about Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, that was my uh I never miss a thing. I've had the measles and the mumps, and when I cast my vote, the winner's Donald Trump.
Yeah, amazing. Benny got on
Although the
the
song, that's it. When you turn it into comedy, it takes the kind of the tragic quality out of the song a little bit, so it
yeah,
turns into more of a lounge act. It's like,
exactly.
but it's
That's what I was gonna say. Benny did this parody on Put on a Happy Face.
uh-huh.
And he said put a mask on your face,
Oh right.
and it made it on the New York like local news.
Oh wow.
He was like, man, aside from coronavirus, it's got to be a pretty damn slow news day for my Instagram video to get on local New York news.
Yeah. Wow.
Look at that
Wow.
kitty cat up on your face. It looks. Is that Tiger King filter? Joe Exotic.
That's pretty funny, right? Yeah, I like it.
And that on your left, that looks like a massive MPC like or drum pad.
That's my Ableton Push. Yeah.
Dude, you're so next level.
Ableton Push is cool. I want to. We should do another one where we can just I don't know. I know there's a latency and stuff, but we could just I don't know, share some music or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I've been able to do with my Focusrite is just I can get the bass going. I don't even know if this works. Our listeners can tell us if the bass comes through or not. I'll just see if it works. Are you getting that?
Yep. Oh yeah, sounds good.
So we do have some options to do some
Mhm.
digital, but not in real time. Seamus and I were talking before, and with latency, it's pretty much impossible.
I think yeah. I mean, I think it's good to just do it like just overdub stuff. But it's a good time to do overdub stuff. I do have one other mic that's good for like a Sony. What is it called? It's a vintage Sony. I forget the name of it, but anyway, it sounds pretty good for saxophone. It's kind of warmer, and I'm just waiting on a little piece so I can attach it to the mic stand. But yeah, I could do some overdubs, saxophone or whatever.
Yeah, total. No, we'll get started on some stuff. And, in the last one I did with Pelt, we kind of left the autobiographical stuff out of it because that's like, you can find a million interviews on YouTube and find out about
Oh right. Just
Seamus's
my
life.
name is I grew. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if
people you can Wikipedia or something.
you're like, people know who I am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I founded Apple Computer in 1987.
Jobs. You got the Jobs turtleneck on.
Jobs turtleneck.
Do you know
Yeah.
Ehud, the piano player, Ehud Ashari? Ehud
Mm.
Ashray? I don't really know.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
he is a big fan of turtlenecks, as am I. I think I kind of got my turtleneck thing from you, and I think there's some Sam Jones videos where he's wearing. I don't know. I got into turtlenecks for a second, and we were going to start a show or podcast called Turtle Talk
Nice.
with the necks. But anything you want to tell our listening base before we sign off for the special quarantine edition of Village Green? That's the name of the podcast.
Ah, hmm. I don't know. I mean, reach out. I think people just need to keep reaching out and, you know, sharing music. And I think that this is obviously not going to last forever. It may last longer than we think, but you know, reach out, share music, even if it's just like some playlists. I like it when people share playlists and stuff. I think that's cool. I want to get listening again more. So did you make a playlist?
I didn't. Aruda just called me right before we did this, Adam Aruda, and he's like, he started making some playlists. So he was
Is
like,
he
you
in
should do.
Canada? Did he go back?
He is in Canada. He's in Toronto.
Got free healthcare up here, so it's tempting to just, oh yeah, I'm going to go up and get free healthcare.
Yeah,
And because technically you lose your healthcare when you leave Canada for more than a few months or something. You have to be kind of living here to qualify for it. But they waived that during this
right.
Corona. So
Yeah, I know it's definitely tempting. I'm in New Hampshire right now. I'm only 4 hours away from.
basically Canada, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right here. And last time I was here, we got somebody to drive us up to
Mm.
to the Montreal Jazz Festival.
When are we going to play again?
Um, that's a really, really good question.
Yeah, I hope soon.
I
You
hope. I
know
hope
when I'm
so.
going to come back through New York, I guess, but I
So
guess
you're,
hopefully things improve, maybe the fall or something.
yeah, no, I mean, hopefully sooner, but
Yeah.
so you're not, do you do you think you're going to go back and base yourself out of Europe after this, or what?
Well, I have a flight back there, but I did move out of my apartment that I was in. I put my stuff sort of in storage because I didn't want to like pay rent.
Yeah,
Wow, double rent. You know, I have to pay New York rent now because my tenant left, and so I just tried to keep the costs low, basically.
right. Would you
One thing
ever?
I've been trying to shut off my internet in New York because I'm no one's there and I'm paying for internet. And it's kind of expensive, like $70 a month or something for Optimum Online, and you can't even like you can't get through. And they said, and finally one day I did I was on hold for a really long time. Sometimes you're on hold for a really long time and then the call just gets dropped. And then one time I got through to someone and he was like, "Oh, we'll take your number. We'll call you Monday." Nobody called. So I have to call back. It's like they don't have a simple way where you can just like manage your account or even send an
Yeah.
email. Anything. It's like only the phone, and then you can't even. Anyway, sorry. Just I had to bitch about that.
No, no, of course. It's like that with New. Did you hear about New York Sports Club?
If someone could come, no, what happened?
They like people were trying to cancel their memberships and stuff, and they just completely ghosted on everybody.
Wow.
There were like
They,
lawsuits going and stuff, and you couldn't get a hold of them. You couldn't do it on the website. It was
yeah.
Blink, or I'm with Planet Fitness now. I used to go to Blink right away. Planet Fitness was like, that's it. We're not going to charge you. Don't worry about it. With
Yeah.
all that going on, they were good.
I mean, an internet company, I don't think as many people are canceling because people actually need internet during the pandemic. So they're probably not dealing with that so much, but they just have horrible customer service. So you know what I was thinking? If somebody could invent a thing that replaced the hold music that you're currently listening to, some kind of crazy technological app or something where you're listening to this really horrible hold music and then you can be like, switch hold music. And then it's like, all of a sudden it's like, Cannonball Adderley. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, exactly. Or
And
it
then,
knows. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be to the point where it's like so advanced that Alexa and Google are involved
yeah,
with your
select
whole.
your whole music. Yeah, yeah, that would be nice. That's one of the as a musician, that's one of the most. And I actually I resist making important phone calls to companies to deal with accounts and stuff because of the whole music.
Yeah,
It's so
and
painful.
also Tony Tixier told me that when you get in an Uber, and I'm totally this way too, and there's
Oh,
some Hit music on, you'd get pissed. He's like, that's the only time I've ever seen Seamus get pissed.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, turn that off. Please turn that. And the guy like turns it down. You're like, no, like turn it off.
One time I was in Europe, and the guy it was super early in the morning. It was like 5 in the morning. I was like, please turn the radio off. And he's like, no. I said, excuse me? He said, no. I said, no, you have to turn. I'm the customer. He says, I don't care if you're I said, and so I ended up like being so frustrated and angry that I got out of this taxi, and it was like snowing outside, and like I had my suitcase and I was like halfway to the airport, and I'm like in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, he just like dumps me all over the hold music, all over the Uber music. I was like, because usually it's particularly bad. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what that mix is that comes in for Uber drivers, but it's like particularly like the trebles boosted extra, and it's more compressed, and it's like the worst possible moment in the song when you like step in the Uber. It's just all systems fail.
Yes.
Except a couple times I've gotten into some Ubers. I got into an Uber in Philly and it was killing one time. It was some swinging shit, and it was the only time it's ever happened.
I think what would be fun is this is I know people are doing it. I think the Jazz Gallery was trying to have a Zoom party, right? A Zoom dance party or something like this. Did you
Yeah,
hear?
yeah.
So yeah, I think like hanging it, because you can send the audio. I think if you played something from your computer, I would hear it really well, right? Like I'm curious if you hear my Spotify if I play something. Maybe not. Maybe
There's all
Spotify
this stuff you can do with Soundflower and apps like
routing it
that
and
where you
right.
can send, and that's what I'm going to try and get into, where you're sending your Logic into OSB so you can just broadcast.
Can you hear this?
Brasil, Brasil, Brasil.
No, right?
Yeah, super crystal clear actually.
You just heard that.
Yeah, it sounded direct, but it could just be your SM57.
Oh,
Vou cantar-te nos meus versos.
maybe
Brasil, samba que
maybe it's the headphones you're hearing.
que faz gingar. O Brasil do
No, it's
terra de nosso Senhor.
You weren't hearing the actual direct. You weren't hearing that.
no. I think I was hearing the direct actually.
Really?
Whatever you just changed, it was like crystal clear.
Wow. It's crystal clear. So it's going through yeah, I'm trying to just take it off my sound card. I send my sound card to Zoom. So you could like hang and listen to music with each other. Like you hear it pretty good? I love this track.
Abre a cortina do
Just don't
passado.
play more than 10 seconds because I might have a copyright issue.
Tira a mãe preta do cerrado. Bota o rei Congo no congado. Canta de novo, trovador, a merencore, a luz da lua, toda a canção do seu amor. Quero ver essa dona caminhar pelos salões arrastando seu vestido rendado.
Yeah, right. That's pretty.
Yeah, hopefully, if anybody's listening, hopefully there's no copyright issues. I think if we're under 30 seconds, actually.
Oh, I see. Okay, right.
No,
But
I mean, it's not
if
like
we're
I'm.
just hanging. We could do that. That's
It's not like I'm like Joe Rogan or some huge podcast, but I think
a great way to just hang, and because Oh, by the way, have you talked to Dave? How's he doing?
I talked to Dave. Kokoski's good. He's very well.
Good. I'm gonna
He
call
put up he put up some videos of him playing Zappa,
him. Oh, nice.
and we played that tune on the tour, which was in Italy, which was, I can't believe we actually finished that tour and we made it out. Everything was cool.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Good to hear. I'll call him.
He's good. He also, what'd you say?
It'd be cool to like. It's cool to just share some music and hang and have a glass of wine and listen to some music together.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. They did a thing
like you play one, I play one.
Yeah, no, we should totally organize that. And I think
you could have a few people, like a Zoom listening party. Everybody gets to pick one tune, and you all listen to it, and everyone has to have like a drink.
yeah, exactly.
That'd be fun.
That'd be great. Let's do that. That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
And no broadcasting, just private.
Yeah, just for fun.
Just so it's a real hang. Winton, and Chris McBride and Jeff Hamilton and Veronica and a bunch of other people did a broadcast one, but a discussion, just a hang
Oh, okay.
on
Okay.
Zoom, and it was super cool.
And you can share this. It says share screen. Oh yeah.
On Zoom,
I think yeah. You see that
Seamus
now?
Blake has started screen sharing.
Huh.
Oh snap! So people are going to see your screen. If there's anything,
You see it?
incriminating,
You
Seamus
see
Blake.
it?
I see it perfectly
Oh,
well.
wow. Yeah. I'm not using. I haven't. This is my first time using it, so I'm just trying the features right now. How do I?
You've been listening to Thundercat, Ricky Lee Jones, Joao Gilberto,
Oh yeah.
Alfonso, and then
Some of the stuff I don't even know what that is.
Minko Eggersman with Aaron Parks.
That was a track with Aaron Parks. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Sharing has stopped.
What'd you say?
Oh, I just stopped the screen sharing.
That's a great idea. So we'll do that. We'll do a hang with you, me, and Dave, and whoever else, and play records for each other.
Can Keiko get Dave's Zoom shit together?
I think so.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Does he have a sound card though? Maybe he can just do it with phone or something.
Well, when we get off, when we stop recording, I'll test my Spotify and see if it does it without a sound card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see if Spotify just is like hooked
You're
up.
using your phone?
No, I'm using my MacBook.
Oh, your MacBook. Yeah. But you're just using it internally. Right, right.
Yeah,
It should work. It should work.
yeah. I'll have to get into the system preferences, but that'd be great to have a hang like that.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna let it off for our
All right.
audio and video people. Seamus, thanks so much for doing this. And when we're not quarantined, we'll have a in-person one. Is there anything you want to plug, like anything of yours that people should check out that you?
Oh, I don't really have anything new at the moment. I'm just working on the next phase. So yeah, I'm just yeah, I'll let you know next time.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. Yeah, and we'll be back for an in-person one as soon as this is all over with. And we're wishing you all some good vibes and health and safety and all that stuff. Seamus, thanks a bunch.
Thanks. Thanks. All right, Clappy.
Peace, man.
Peace and love.